My name is David Braden. I am the Executive Director of the Living Systems Institute. And the Living Systems Institute applies permaculture techniques and works with those kinds of ideas about how we can heal our relationships with the living things around us. The Living Systems Institute is an acre and a third in Golden, Colorado, where we study how we can better interact with our environment. The habitat that we live in we are a part of and give back to. And then if we can make that habitat healthier, we're going to also be healthier. And that's our purpose here, is to explore those issues. Well, I have been interested in growing things for as long as I can remember. And there came a point where my gardening attempts were not effective anymore. Trying to be an organic gardener, and it just wasn't working. So I was practicing law at the time, but when I sold my law practice, I started investigating alternatives. And I read the Permaculture Design Manual and began testing those techniques, and then doing research in other fields such as soil science and regenerative agriculture, and trying to apply those into the suburban habitat. And so that's what brings me to where I am today, is that ongoing experiment. To me, the term permaculture means a permanent relationship to our environment, rather than an extractive relationship where we're going to deplete the environment. We want to establish a set of interactions that is going to persist permanently into the future for our grandchildren and their children. And that has to do with understanding the needs of the other living things that are sharing this space with us. The practices we use, we can describe depending on which point of view you want. We can describe them as deep mulch polycultures, which is the process of taking yard waste and putting it into a situation where the soil ecosystem can use it and grow plants in it. We can call it carbon cycling, because that's from the molecular point of view. We want to, when a plant takes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, we want to cycle that carbon as much as possible within the habitat here in this space. And then we can call it integrated closed loop production systems, which when we use all of our byproducts in other processes, we reduce our waste. And when we produce everything we need for the food production process, then we reduce our costs. And that would be the essence of sustainability, or a permanent culture, is one that operates without cost and without waste. The biggest success that has come out of the Living Systems Institute is probably the number of people that are experimenting with our techniques. That's our goal, is to empower other people to heal their own relationships with nature. Short of that, we are constantly learning new things that we can share with the rest of the world about a better way to relate to the living things around us. There's always challenges to face. A living system is a pattern of interactions between plants, animals, fungi, and bacteria. And a healthy system will be cycling a lot of carbon and becoming more fertile time or cycle over cycle. When we try to intervene in that development of that improving cycle, we can get it wrong in any number of different ways because it is so complex that none of us can really fully understand it. So the permaculture shorthand for that process is observe and interact. We want to become familiar with the way the process is operating without our intervention, and only intervene when we think we can make a positive impact, and then observe what that impact is, how the system responds to our intervention. So it's always a challenge. Permaculture is important to the future of humans on this planet, because the way we are doing things now are depleting the resources that we need to live. If we make this change and are able to interact with a system that is constantly building resources into itself, then it's actually beyond sustainable. It becomes now regenerative, and we can heal all the major problems that we're facing, which is food insecurity and poverty and climate change and violence in our society, because people don't have a place to participate. People don't have a way to contribute to the well-being of the society, and so they're left out and no choice but to lash back out. So that's how we envision the goal is to be an inclusive pattern of interactions, not only for all peoples, but also all organisms. MK works with our Re-Inhabit Cooperative, and so the Re-Inhabit Cooperative is to train people who are looking for a career in this type of gardening or this type of habitat development, and share what we've learned so far with them, and have them make that knowledge available to their homeowner clients. So it's an ongoing process for both the gardener and the homeowner, and the Living Systems Institute then responding to what their needs are to help them in building their business. Alan in particular wants to look at some of the more traditional gardening techniques, such as double digging, and see how they compare to our techniques, which are, to the extent feasible, let nature do all the work for us. Whereas if in digging you're trying to create a soil bed that is ideal for the root system, but it's not ideal for the fungi and bacteria. So I'm fairly confident in what the results of that experiment are going to be, but there's no harm in doing the experiment. If somebody wanted to learn about permaculture, the most accessible text available is a book called Gaia's Garden by Toby Hemenway. And Toby's not with us anymore, but he wrote a book in English rather than the Australian Permaculture Design Manual, which can be fairly technical. The next step then, the permaculture practitioners offer what they call a permaculture design course, which is 72 hours going through the permaculture design manual and discussing how all the different principles apply to what projects that you want to do. Or you can come to the Living Systems Institute, where we don't strictly teach permaculture. We don't charge for our services. Our goal is to share this way of relating to nature, including how the principles of permaculture apply in a suburban habitat is our focus. If you typed Living Systems Institute in in your Google bar, you'll probably find us. The actual website address is livingsystems.org. We're always welcome to anybody that wants to learn. We offer tours of the property. We offer an internship. We do regular events to explore the different techniques that we're using through the Greater Denver Urban Homesteaders Meetup Group. The gardeners that we're working with are not strictly permaculturalists. They don't have any certifications. They haven't spent their $1,000 to get their permaculture design certificate. What they have is a basic understanding of this carbon cycling concept that we're working with. And part of the deal is that you as a homeowner pay $100 a month to the Living Systems Institute. We're a 501c3. You can get a tax deduction for that. And you're helping to fund the education of this gardener. They can work, we will also be helping them here. I'm always available to answer questions for them. But the basic concept is not difficult. The basic concept is to create an inclusive habitat for as many different organisms as possible, including all the different kinds of plants, all the different kinds of birds and insects, and then the fungi and bacteria that we don't see, but we want to make sure are incorporated into that. So to get started, it's not difficult. I mean, a deep mulch polyculture, we've just seen how those are built. It's not difficult. But myself, I've been doing this since 2004, and I'm still learning new things all the time, because it is such a challenge to only be a positive influence on such a complex adaptive system.